On July 2, 2025, Sunshine's Sunny Stewart, a 48-year-old paddleboarder, went missing in the waters of Crawford Pond in Union, Maine. The next morning, her lifeless body was discovered in a remote part of the pond, and what initially seemed like a tragic accident quickly turned into a full-blown murder investigation. For 2 weeks, the quiet, tight-knit community of Union lived in fear, unsure of who could be behind the shocking death. But as the investigation unfolded, a chilling twist emerged. The murderer wasn't a stranger, as many had feared, but a 17-year-old boy who had been staying at the same campground as Stewart. The teen, Devin Young, appeared to be offering help to the authorities during the search, but his behavior took a darker turn. It was just after dusk when Sunshine Stewart set out from Micmac Campground to enjoy a quiet paddle on Crawford Pond. She left her purse in the car and paddled away into the still waters, not knowing that her life was about to end. When she didn't return after midnight, her friend, concerned and armed with a flashlight, began searching the waterfront. It wasn't long before others joined in. Local authorities and residents combed the area by land, water, and air, including a drone search. Despite the dense fog and darkness that covered the 600-acre pond, 2 locals stumbled upon her paddleboard, which led police to the spot where her body would be discovered. The location, a remote nature reserve, 100-acre island. It was clear this wasn't an accidental drowning. Sunshine had been beaten and strangled to death. The investigation quickly turned its focus on the people closest to the campsite. Devin Young, a 17-year-old who had been staying at the campground with his family, appeared eager to assist in the search. He volunteered information to investigators and even guided a group of officers out on a boat to the opposite end of 100-acre island, where Stewart's body was found. Young seemed to be cooperating, but was he helping or toying with the police? Days after the discovery of Stewart's body, Young continued posting on his social media, seemingly unfazed by the tragic events. On July 12th, he shared a picture of a boat at sunset, commenting casually with a friend about how good he was. His actions raised alarms. How could a teen act so nonchalant in the wake of such a horrifying event? As police continued to investigate, they reviewed hours of surveillance footage from the campground. What they found was damning. Young had been on the lake in an aluminum boat the same night as Stewart, before and after her death. His timeline was now suspicious, but it wasn't just the footage that raised eyebrows. It was the fact that Young had volunteered to help, likely in an attempt to mislead investigators. Catherine Lunt, the owner of the Micmac campground, recalled how Young acted totally normal in the days following Stewart's murder. He had offered to help with yard work, assisted with loose pets, and even made crafts for fellow campers. Lunt had no reason to suspect him until the footage surfaced, revealing his presence at key moments surrounding the murder. Police were also gathering DNA samples from men in the area, a tactic that suggested they believed there could be more to the crime than originally thought. The authorities were looking for signs of sexual assault. As the nature of the crime suggested, there could have been a sexual element to the attack that had not been immediately apparent. This crucial detail raised the stakes. What seemed like a random murder could have been more calculated. Young had placed himself directly in the investigation's path, and his willingness to assist could be seen as a twisted attempt to cover his tracks. On July 16th, after a series of interviews and a few hours of questioning, Devin Young was arrested for the murder of Sunshine Stewart. It was a swift and shocking turn of events. What had seemed like a tragedy involving a random stranger now appeared to be the result of a violent attack by someone who had been right under their noses all along. Young was charged with first-degree murder, and although he denied responsibility in court, police had gathered enough evidence to secure an arrest. However, the motive remained unclear. What could have driven a 17-year-old to strangle and bludgeon a woman who was simply enjoying a summer evening on the pond? It was clear that he had acted without remorse and with no hesitation. What was the motive? Was it a crime of opportunity, or was there a deeper connection between Young and Stewart that has yet to be revealed? Devin Young is now being held at a juvenile detention center in South Portland, awaiting trial. The state has moved to try him as an adult, a decision that will likely be made in the coming weeks. The investigation is still ongoing, with police working to piece together the events that led to Stewart's tragic death. As the truth slowly comes to light, the questions remain. Was this an isolated incident, or could this have been the start of a pattern? And what was going through the mind of a 17-year-old boy who seemingly toyed with the investigation, offering to help police, all while keeping the horrifying secret of his actions? Stewart's friends and family, still reeling from her loss, continue to mourn the woman they knew, a kind, free-spirited soul who was seemingly in the wrong place at the wrong time. As Devin Young prepares to face the legal consequences of his actions, the peaceful waters of Crawford Pond will never be the same again.